Hello, welcome back to another stream with myself, Benson. How have you been? Alright, that's good. Alright, so what we're going to do today is I'm going to refrain from painting for a bit just because I've got a tournament coming up and I need to get a couple of units for Kings of War 3rd edition. It's just been released and they need some... I've got some old Warhammer figures that I need to multi-base and try and make work. We might do a couple of other things, but I'm going to be converting a couple of old goblins, maybe make some basing elements, but we'll see how we go in terms of time. So I'll just change over to the camera, give me a sec. And transition. There we go. Okay. So you can see a bit of a mess here. This is what we're going to be working with today. Just to begin, I'll just let you know what I've been working on. I haven't touched the teacher at all, this thing. That's where we left last time. That's where she's going to be for another little bit. But I have been painting on, I think I showed you last time, the more pop launcher. Okay, and that's this little guy. And there's a dude. Hang on, I'll put his arms on. Alrighty, there's his arms. So I'm getting base coats down. And he kind of clicks into there like that. So that's where I'm at the moment with this guy. And his little puppy mortar. And also comes with this little thing. A little cutie with a ribbon on top, gnawing on an arm. Aww. And been working on the wing git, if you remember this plane. With the dudes that sit in it, so they've got a bit of colour on them as well. If I can get it going. Not too much fuss. I'm not going to put his arms on because of Joel, but there we are. Hold them down so they don't move. That's how far I've gotten so far. Okay. So for the wing git, I'll just do this now. Instead of just using it's like a translucent plastic stand that it goes on, I'm going to use this thing and maybe get a bit of wire and pop it up underneath the bottom of this. So that's where the stand would go. I'm not going to do it like that. Maybe like this, or I don't know, maybe like that. So it dodges the tree, obviously, but we'll kind of finagle something else. Maybe it's a bit of dynamism in its posing there. It's kind of dodging the tree. But we can't use it if we don't have it. So what we're going to do is just quickly clip that off. So I'm just going to try and round off the base part here. We're using just some old clippers which are a bit worn and dented and whatnots. Actually, I might take part of that fence as well. No, it's too late. I've already cut into it. So that should just come off. We'll kind of fix that up for when we go to stick it on the base. Cover it with some grass and whatever. And do I do this one? Now I can actually use the rest of this fence for some more multi-basing material. It's a pretty upper unit. Okay. So for example, this regiment here, if I was to use this, that's 10 by 80. Oh, it's almost perfect as a front fence. So, with that, I'll clean it up later, and that will kind of sit like that. So that's the first part done, because we may actually use this later. Or we've got a smaller section as well, which again, always fits perfectly on this 80mm. That kind of worked out, didn't it? Yeah. Anyway, I don't know what I'm going to do there. See if this needs much cleaning. I'll just do it now because otherwise I'm going to forget when I actually get to the basing of this thing. So I'm just using my old dodgy hobby knife, safety knife, whatever they're called. Stanley, although it's not Stanley branded. And just scraping across the edge there. Getting rid of the mold line. Doesn't matter too much because it's a tree. It's going to have all these lines on it anyway. But if there is just this one particular standout line that's quite symmetrical or unnaturally straight, it will stand out. But otherwise, don't have to be too precise. Because they're all fine in the end. So for these goblins, I've been doing a kind of swampy base. So muddy, slurry type ground with patches of gross grass and reeds. And maybe bits of old settlement that kind of got swallowed up by the swamp. It's a bit of a knobbly thing. I don't even understand what that is. Is that a defect? Could be a defect. I'm going to cut it off. Looks weird. So that's most of it done. Let's get this trunk here. And then we can get into the meat of this stream. And that's converting a couple of goblins. I'll explain what I'm doing with them once we get to it. Okay. I think that's looking alright. All mold line free. Okay. So that's that done. Hooray for progress. Let's clean my space. Okay, so the meat and taters. With Kings of War, they've introduced a new type of unit for the goblins called Luggets. So these are goblins that are a bit bigger, a bit dopier, but they're tougher and they can lug, hence the name, some heavier weapons. And at the moment I've just got normal goblins with either bows or spears, and not really representative of big heavy weapons. So, I've picked up a couple of old goblins from my bits box of trashy gobs, and I've found some decorative items from the Ogre Kingdom G-Dub kit, which would work out to be the right size, I think. I mean, if we've got a club like this and height like that, I think that's pretty big in terms of goblin size. I've also got a bunch of old fanatics. These are resin ones. And they kind of look like they're struggling to swing something. I mean, they would normally be carrying like a ball and chain. But what if I make them look like they're carrying a big stick and they're heaving it? I think that'll work out well. So I've got 8 goblins that I need to sort out. And then, with this base, we've got these like squig herders, so they've got a big stick. It's old squig herders, so 2 of them carrying a big stick. And just fanatics that I've painted up for my previous goblin army. So there'll be a couple of fanatics on each of these bases, and we need to fill it out just to make sure it looks like it's covered. There's supposed to be 10 models on these rectangular ones and 20 on this, but we're not going to get anywhere near that. We'll be lucky if we get half. But as long as the base is kind of filled out and it doesn't look sparse, so people don't get confused as to the size of the unit, then I'll be happy. So when we get to the actual basing, there's a whole thing about that. So I'm not going to worry about getting these guys off and trying to arrange them and make some sort of thing. I just want to get these goblins done first, and then we can piece them together. So what am I going to use today? I could be using a larger drill set that I've got, depending on how I want to go about getting these things into the hands of the goblins. To pin, I'll probably be using this pin vise, which has got much thinner drill bits. So just compared to, let's get him out. Come on, fella. Where's the smallest one? So this one compared to the smallest one of the other type of drill. There is quite a big difference. So this is the smallest one of this size, and they kind of sort of go all the way up to maybe this particular size. And we're going to be using super glue because the resin won't stick to these hard plastic bits using plastic cement. These ones are older plastic. I'm not too confident about how it would melt. Maybe it will just melt too well, but we'll give it a crack with the plastic cement. Okay, so where do we begin? How about we start off with this dude. This guy's already got one arm missing, and we're not going to use a bow, and we're definitely not going to be using some arrows. Now, I did super glue these when I was a kid, so they should be easy enough to just snap off. Click. And so first thing that we need to do is clear the glued part. So we don't need old glue sitting there and making things harder for us. Now these are some old trashy goblins, so they haven't been cleaned at all, because I didn't do that when I was a kid. So that's what I'm going to do now. Just a little bit at least. I don't know if the head is going to get in the way in terms of physical space, because he's got a tilted head. Will that make things difficult when trying to glue a hand with a big honking club on it? I guess silver lining with these older plastics is that they're easier to remove these mold lines because it's a bit softer. I kind of like it actually. Don't have to put so much force into it. And hopefully the music you can hear now, because I just had a bit of a squiz in the last stream after I've recorded, and it was a bit dim, a bit subtle, a bit too subtle. So when I wasn't talking, I couldn't really hear much, apart from kind of blank noise. But you can't really hear blank noise, can you? It's the absence of noise. I shouldn't stress about the bottom there, since you're not going to be able to see it anyway. Alrighty, so he's pretty much cleaned. Is this glue? That feels like glue. Whoop. Chunky hands. Okay, side of his head. So I do have a deadline with these guys because the tournament's only in a couple of weeks. I've still got to paint those two things that I showed you there at the start. as well as these guys. And I've still got some Malifaux to paint, and I've got a mate who is attending the Masters for Kings of War. But I don't think I've got to fix anything for him for that tournament, which is good, but I'll need to double check. Okay, I think we're about good to go. We're on a deadline, I should stop dilly-dallying. There's still so much glue here. You can hear it crack off. Watched Demolition Man again for the first time in a very long time. Sylvester Stallone and Wesley Snipes. It's a very 90s action movie. Not very good. I think I'm happy with that now. Alright. So that's the body. Let's get rid of these. Let's clean these hands up, sorry. So the glue here. Gotta cut that off. Stubborn. See if I can just carve underneath it. Just a very thin layer to get rid of that glue. Okay. And there's a mold line on his hand. And the arm. Okay, we don't need that arrow, so let's cut it off. Oh, get a grip. So just using the flat part so it doesn't have a massive notch in it. And clean up the bits that it missed because it is dodgy and old. Great big hunk and chunk out of there. Okay. Let's put model on his knuckles. Yeah, a couple, okay. Alrighty, and let's do the other arm. He's not going to be holding the bow, so let's get rid of it. I'll use my slightly better clippers. Make sure it's all lined up. Hold the bits so they don't go flying. Make sure it's lined up. Hold the bits so they don't go flying. It broke. Alright, sure. It's holding on for life a bit too strongly. There we go. And we'll just clean it up because it looks a bit manky at the moment. Okay. I've also got some Star Wars to assemble and clean. But the Clone Wars, Star Wars Legion Corps, because the droids, I like the droids. I don't care for Jedi or Stormtroopers or clone troopers or any of that rubbish. Just give me droids. And Christopher Lee. I mean Count Dooku. Seeing comments of people saying how great General Grievous looks with his 4 lightsabers. That's the droid in episode 3. That was kind of, I think he's a cyborg. Got like organic parts to him as well. I think he looks like a twat. That is the game. So I'll be leaving mine on. Or maybe I'll magnetize it so I can swap out between caped and no cape. Alright, is that clean enough? Oop. I think it is. This part looks a bit dodgy. Try and smooth that out a bit. Okay. Just make sure that it still fits. Yep. Look at those massive monkey hands. So what am I going to do with this guy? Who the flip knows? Alrighty. So, what kind of weapon should he hold? Can't really do two-handed because I would have to cut that wrist there and then spin it. So it's more like that. But then his head's also going to get in the way. What is he doing with that head? And I could break it off and then re-glue it, but that's annoying. So I could just make him hold a big club. Maybe kind of raised it up a little bit. Alrighty, let's try that. Now because he's big ham fists, maybe we'll try and slim this thing down, drill a hole in this hand and then insert it through. Or we could just clip it at these parts and glue it there. But we'll need to pin it as well, just to make sure it's nice and stable. We'll try that. I think that'll be the better way to do it. So first off, I'll clean this to make it easier to put together, because if I don't clean it and we glue it together, then it'll be a pain in the neck to do it afterwards, because it wouldn't be as strong structurally. Okay, so this particular plastic isn't as old as the goblins, but it's getting there. I can kind of feel the difference in consistency as they change the recipe for the plastic, so it could just be age, but I don't think so. But happy to be told otherwise. So we've done one half, just working on the other half. Is that a stud? Not a defect? That's a stud. Okay, don't cut that off. But even if I did, I don't think anyone would notice. Is that good enough? I think that's good enough. Okay, so we're gonna have to get my good snippers here, because we want as clean a cut as I can get. Where do you think he'll be holding it is the next bit to line up the cut. And I'll do it then on a bit of an angle just because the hand's on a bit of an angle. So kind of like that. Oh man, I love these things. So we will have to flatten the hand a little bit, but otherwise, I think that's pretty good. Let's see if I can coordinate my hands, my fingies. That's a nice big club. Okay. So I'll just sort of, I'll see if I can get the camera to zoom in, or focus in more. So I can get a bit closer and you can see what's going on as well. Okay. So it's not quite flush. So I'm just going to smooth or flatten this bit. So by keeping the blade and the miniature in the same position all the way through and just kind of moving it across. Couple of scrapes, keep it smooth. Okay, I think that is a bit of an improvement. Yeah, alright. And how does the bottom look? That'll be fine. Alright, so next we need to pin this thing. So I'm just going to guess the center. Kind of try and angle it so it's going straight through and will pop out where I want it to. So just checking the angles all the time just to make sure I'm on target. And too much of an angle? Possibly. I'll try and straighten that up. It's not too bad, could be better. Let's make that hole nice and clear. Okay. Now what I need to do is pop the drill in there. Bring it back there. Pop this on the hand and hold it nice and tight to the hand. And continue to drill. So this will be drilling into the club now. You can feel that. Pull it out. Get rid of some of that plastic on the drill bit. And I'll just finish it off. Oh, looks like I missed it. Going a bit too far. I think that'll be fine though, just I wanted a little bit more support. Wasn't great, wasn't a great effort. So we're gonna have to improve on our next ones. Alright, so we're gonna do the same thing here. So pop the drill down the other way. Put the little nub of the handle where we want it. Hold it tight. Mark it and finish it off. Now that I think about it, if the the plastic cement glue works, you shouldn't have to do this, because it will melt the plastic, they'll fuse together and become one piece. Unlike super glue, which is still two separate pieces with an adhesive barrier in between that solidifies, because you can just snap that off. Alrighty. Now this is what I use for pinning. Ta-da! A paperclip. Now I've got two different sorts depending on the heft. I'll just refocus. Whoop. Is that better? How's that? We'll go with that. So I'm just going to straighten this and then snip a little bit off. Which way did you go? That way. Okay. Alright. Yeah, that's a terrible job. Let's see if I can fix that up without ruining it. So I'm just going to angle the bit differently. So you can see it coming through there. That feels better. That was a bit harder to push through. That's much better. But does it go through the hand properly? Does it line up? Need to bend it, that's what I need to do, because the metal is pushing it a different way. Otherwise, that fits alright, and we didn't go too far in the other one, so if I snip it fairly close there, about here, that should be plenty. Didn't want that going flying, so I just kind of pressed it in, so it left a mark. And then bent it. Alright, so I'm just going to glue that now using my cement, plastic cement. Where should I put it? There it is. And we might actually do some on this as well. This will give us plenty of working time as well. Sorry, I just think I was all off screen then. I think that's okay. And we'll do on the bottom here. Let's put all over the stick so it melts on the inside. And we'll see if we can bend it just because it's not lined up. Eh. You're not happy with that. But it does look like it's melting, so maybe we don't need to do the pinning on the next one. Yeah, I think that's going to be good enough. So I'm just going to push it in a little bit more, maybe add a bit more glue set to make it melt a bit more. And on this side too. Because we want that fusing to happen. And then squish. This older plastic does melt faster. You can kind of see it squidge out there. That's the effect that I want. So that's how you know it's working. Yeah, that's fine. Not great, but who cares? So I'm just going to leave that dry, not touch it, and let it do its thing. But what are we going to do on this one? Because I've got nothing there. Is he just going to hold it? It's just like a punchy thing. Can I do this without wrecking it? Yeah, I can just leave his hand blank, I think. I was thinking about putting a dagger in it, but nah, let's leave it blank. So that's one done. Let's see how fast we can get this one done now. Without pinning. Clip off the bow. Quickly clean it up. To give us a nice clean working space. And get rid of the obvious bow mark there. Alrighty, I don't know what to do about that hand though, because that just looks dumb. I'm pretty sure this is still only super glue. Yep. And I don't like how that's just holding out, because if he's holding a club, it kind of looks dumb. Look, I got a club. So if we can break his arm, and then we can readjust it and maybe angle it downwards or something. Like that. Less dumb. Still not good, but less dumb. Or do we do it up in the air? Like is it gonna thump? Yeah, we'll do slightly up in the air, I think. Alright, let's clean this while we're here. And after this one, we'll work on a Fanatic. Alright, just getting rid of the glue on that. Get rid of the lines. Knuckle lines. We were just leaving that, weren't we? Yeah. I'll just pass that off as a weird gesture. Nah. Thinking the up yours signal, but things need to be a bit more splayed than what they are. Okay. Excuse me while I just have a sip of water. Audible. Okay. Speaking of Audible, I've been listening to the Lord of the Rings books. And I'm glad I am, because no way could I physically read it. It's just they're so hard going. Lots of different names and places and people. Kind of feels like a history exam at times, but when you're listening to it, and it sounds like someone knows what they're talking about, placing emphasis on parts that are important and kind of just glossing over the parts that aren't, it makes things a whole lot easier. So I remember trying and thinking, how the hell am I supposed to remember all this stuff? Turns out you don't have to, because a lot of it isn't important. Not to the story anyway. Gotta say though, I'm almost halfway through the third book. I prefer the movies. It feels... how to say this without offending anyone? No offense Tolkien, but he does yammer on a bit. There's some great parts in there, but a lot of it is just waffle. And I think the actual reimagining of the big fights of Helm's Deep and Minas Tirith, they've done very well, because there's not a whole lot of information that you get in the book. It's more like dot points of how the fight goes. And to turn it into those massive movies with huge action pieces, set pieces, Peter Jackson did well. Peter Jackson and crew. It made it a lot more interesting. Did I not care about mold lines when I was a kid? It must have been. Did I just not see them? Was my young eyes not notice those great big hunkin' mold lines? Ah, that glue's tough. And we need to, it's a necessity to remove that glue, because otherwise the plastic cement won't stick. Even super glue on super glue has a hard time. This is the entire stream, just me removing mold lines. Fun times. But I am trying to do it as fast as I can, without being too rubbish. Okay. Started playing Subnautica on the PC. Got it for free because of the Epic Games store. Their, I think, weekly giveaways. It's pretty good. I am enjoying it. For those who don't know what it is, it's kind of like a survival game, but all about scuba diving, being underwater, hence the name. Crash land on an alien planet. Surrounded by water. And you in your life pod, so you gotta go diving and collecting various minerals and ingredients, and then synthesizing items and food and whatever to help you live. And then try and get the dodge off the planet. There's some story tidbits in there as you come across other abandoned life pods that have been cracked open by underwater beasties or just left because of them being damaged. And there is a mystery about it all, which I will not discuss. Hence, spoilers. Okay, I think that feels about right. There's still a bit of glue in that armpit here. But we can't dwell on these too long. Oh, look at all that rubbish. Let's see if I can clean it up a bit. Looking to go to the cinema this evening. Go and see Ready or Not. I know Terminator's out. That's that dude's, right. But Ready or Not has only got one session left as far as I can tell. Okay. So that should be fun. The ticket prices down here aren't very expensive, which is why we go fairly regularly. Is it? Is that what you're talking about right now? Okay. So body to arms. Ooh, I'll just readjust. Alrighty. What weapon are we going to use? It's good old Bashi Club, Axie Club. Now it's quite a bit thick. Thicker. Alright, let's see how we go. So trying to cut it flat. I don't want to lose too much plastic here. I mean, I should be doing it this way, but I can't quite get that angle that I want. So if we just do it carefully, hopefully these clippers will do the rest. Whoa, to slice through. Delicious. I'm going to do the same here. We'll actually clean this bit here because it'll be easier to hold. That added bit. That's another tip. If you're cleaning mold lines onto small bits, do it while they're still on the sprue. Then you don't have to worry about dropping it. Which is an excellent tip for Malifaux figures, because they can often be teeny tiny. Alrighty. And schneep. Perfect. Let's clean up the edges. And see how it fits on the hand. That is actually not bad. I thought it might be too big, but because of these giant monkey hands, it turns out alright. So I'm just going to straighten these, so it's got a nice flat surface, and then make sure that this is straight as well, because there were a couple of ridges on it, so we weren't getting a flush fit. Let's see if that's improved. Much better. A bit angled, so if I can shave this end off a bit. Just a bit. Okay, I think we're alright. And with the plastic glue, it will melt, so it'll make it nice and soft, and then we can kind of knock it over. Right, mold line removal duty on this thing. Stick, stone axe head. Like I was saying last stream, I've got a little bit of leave now for just over a week. So I hope I'm to stream a bit more. Get some more hobby done in the meantime. Not just for my benefit, for yours as well. Because I've got a couple of busy weekends coming up in the next couple of weeks. And I don't know if I'm going to get time to do it. So I've got a tournament, I've got a thing that I'm going to... I've got visitors staying, and then we'll be coming closer to Christmas. So I've got work, Christmas function. I think I've got another family birthday as well. And work, because I also work on weekends when it calls for it. Because I thankfully can work from home. Alright, we're almost done here. I've been reading the rulebook for Kings of War, 3rd edition. And it's very much like the previous edition. Just with some added things, some rules cleaned up. And army lists have changed, which I think is the biggest thing that we need to worry about there. So I need to write all new lists because what I had before doesn't quite work as it should, or as it used to. Not that I've had a game of it, it's just Theory Hammer. Okay, so let's see if this fits. It's quite broad. It's flush enough, it's very slippery. Let's rough it up a bit. Actually might screw it a bunch. And same here. So it's not nice and smooth. Okay. How are we looking now? Don't like the edges on this thing. It's kind of splayed out a bit. So I want to make them flat. Make sure the axe is on the right way. Now I wasn't going to pin this one. Wanted to see how the plastic glue works. Just straight plastic glue. I think we're going to go with that. So let's glob it there. Make sure it's nice and covered. Get it working. Lid on the other side so it's working there as well. Let's remove that rubbish. Okay. Now, axe head has got to go that way. Yep, I can feel that sticking already. Is that lined up, sort of twisted a bit? Okay, that's feeling alright. Feeling alright. I think at this point, if I wanted to pin now, I'd do it. I'd just go straight through there and then up into the axe head. But in theory, because it's fusing, we shouldn't have to. And I'm just going to make sure that this is on right. I'll put the dangly bit at the back or the front. I'll put it at the front. Gives me another detail to paint. That went on nice and easy. That even looks straight. Much better than the other one. Stupid other one. Set that aside. What I might do to try and fix that hole there, just a smidgen of glue there to melt it. Put some more plastic shavings there, melt that down, and push that into the hole. Yeah, that'll do. Alright, so one pinned, one not. We're not going to worry about that. That's two done. Now let's work on a Fanatic. Which one? We have 4 to choose from. 1, 2, 3, 4. I like this guy, the guy with no front teeth. I haven't washed these at all. It's probably going to be a bit of a mistake doing this now. But we're doing it anyway. Okay. Let's cut off all the bits. This is actually a really good cast. The resin is decent. Doesn't feel too brittle. And as you can see, that it's held to detail well. Happy with that purchase. I don't like G-Dub resin. Well, I don't think anyone likes G-Dub resin. This is not G-Dub resin. Which is why it's so much better. A couple of air bubbles, but we'll be fine. You know, we can't just fill those bubbles with plastic cement, because like I said at the start, this is not plastic. So the good old super glue is what we're going to have to do. And we're probably going to have to pin these guys as well, because there's no proper spot to put them on the base. So maybe a pin there or a pin up there, maybe through that way. And then that can kind of sit on a base like that, and that'll hold it. So just looking for any more mold lines. Tappa, tappa, tappa. Okay. Now, we'll find the hand that it was using, then break it off. Which one is he using? That's an arm. Is it this one? Excuse me. It is this one. That bit's not going to sit in there because of flash. So we'll break that off and clean that up. That knobbly bit is kind of deliberate. That's supposed to be there. Okay. Do I want to exchange that for a weapon? I feel like I do. Do I make it a sort of flaily type thing? Just trying to think here. Give it a chain handle as well as a club. That might work. Yeah, let's go with that. Alright, so let's cut this bit off. Oh, always impressed with how smooth that is. Or maybe do we use this one? The big honkin' thing. Let's use the big honkin' thing. Oh, let's center that camera. But seriously though, it's like butter. Cutting through butter. With some clippers. It feels great. Alright, let's quickly clean this one up. Okay. And I've backed the Mantic Kickstarter, the League of Infamy, which is another dungeon crawler, but where you play as bad guys. So there will be an element of backstabbing your teammates for personal gain, which is what lured me in. Because if we're just another dungeon crawler, no, I've got plenty of them that I haven't played yet. But Infamy sounds like it'll be fun. Okay, so this is his hand. Are we going to have enough contact on there? I feel like we'll need to pin it. We'll see how we go. So if I cut this flush, just add a joint there. Set that aside, we can use that one again. Oh, there's a bit of room to drill. It's not all bad. Let's drill it now. So this is got to be super careful to make sure it's nice and straight, because there isn't much room for a mistake here. Alright, so bear with me, and I apologize for holding my breath and not talking, but this will require concentration. Alright, hang on. Test just to make sure that's I'm on the right track. Yep. Okay, I think we've hit the hand. Still intact, that's still intact. Can't really see it popping out anywhere else, okay. And I'll just test with my paperclip just to see how far that went in. Use the straight end. Because it has to be far enough to matter. I don't know if that's far enough. No, I can go a little bit further. Another millimeter or two. Okay. Test again. That's better. I think it actually reached right to the end there. But since that's going to be behind the chain, I don't think that's going to matter. Okay. Alright, so just make sure that this is all nice and clean before I do anything. Because I don't want to have to put some pressure on it when I don't have to. After it's glued. Alrighty, and I'm just going to rough up these sections here because I haven't washed it. I want to make sure that there's plenty of area for the glue to kind of settle in with. So it's not nice and smooth, there's no release agent. I find that's a good thing to do with most things that's not plastic cement, is to rough it up a bit, just to give it some grip. And it's just essentially scoring in hash sections like noughts and crosses. But that's just me. Alright, now we've pinned that side of the chain, so we'll need to pin the other side of the club. So it's going to be sitting, how did we work it out, like that. So this needs to sit like that. Let's see if we can find where the hole should be. If we make it dead center, it's going to be off, so it needs to be slightly off center. So about here, let's see if we can see that. Dead center, let's move it up this way. And see how that goes. Alright. Use the force. Just a little bit of the force. Pull it out, see how it's traveling. Hello, Plasma 3D. How you going? Thanks for joining. Or just viewing if you've got a couple of screens open. Okay. Don't need to go too far in here. Test the depth. What am I making? I am converting some goblins. So I've got these little fellas, some old fellas, and for the unit that I'm trying to make, I need them to be holding some big clubs. So I am pulling apart their hands and ripping off the bows and attaching great big honking clubs onto them. So I'm just going through my particular process of converting these things. So I've done 2 so far for these goblin-y looking things. And now I'm working on one that is resin, because the other guys were plastic. So which is why I am pinning these things. Yeah, the 3rd edition of Kings of War came out, and they've introduced a unit called Lugget Gang, so goblins that lug big, hefty weapons. And since the ones that they sell, it's like $20 for 2 because they're designed for a different game, I'm not going to be buying 10 of those things. Hence the conversions. Okay, let's see how we're going. That is looking okay. Alright. Just remeasure how far that went in. I think that'll be plenty. So this plus this will end up about here, which is where I'm going to snap it off. And we'll do another fit then. Again, just using a paperclip. Is it for Warcry? This is for Kings of War. The units, or the official units, are designed for Vanguard. I think Warcry, that's only Chaos units, aren't they? I don't think I've seen anything else other than Chaos bits. Now because of this mess, I've lost... No, there it is, found it. Problem solved. Alright, I might actually glue this on now, and then pin secondly. No, flip it, we'll try and do it all now. Test by putting the pin in, putting the club on. I think we have success. I think that works. I'm happy with that. Alright. Let's super glue this. I haven't actually tried Warcry. The rules are pretty simple, easy to pick up. I don't know, have you played it, or are you playing it? Or do you have any interest in it? Okay, slide that pin in. That super glue should hold it fine. And what I do is I apply the glue on the pin itself instead of on the piece that we're pinning. So it glues on the inside. Like that. Okay, that's feeling good. Alright, let's stick it on the fella. One time. What do you think of it? The train looks good. I remember thinking that when I saw the releases. I guess a lot of the figures do too. Not overly G-dubbed with just skull, 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 skull. Which is what I'm not a fan of. It's quick and fun. Can't go wrong with quick and fun. Some of the best games are quick and fun. I think the quickest, most fun game I've played is Liar's Dice though. All it requires is a whole bunch of dice. Never have a bad time with Liar's Dice. Alrighty, I think that's a successful conversion. I think that worked out well. So we got rid of the chain, stuck on a big honking club, and I think that's turned out. I'm very happy with that. So these ones should have dried now, so let's see if we can glue them on. So I feel like I've got some sort of progress there. These guys don't need pinning because they're plastic. Did you buy the Warcry set, or you just played it at a store at or at a mate's or something? Okay, angle this up so it looks like he's doing something with his hands. About to thump someone with it. I'm not too stressed about not being able to paint in there, it's just green and black, they're just goblins. So that should be fine. I think the plastic glue is already adhered, which is good. And we'll stick on that arm. Ah, okay, yep, a friend did. I've been playing a lot more skirmish games recently. The Twisted game by Demented Games is really fun, playing that narrative campaign. It's like a less in-depth Malifaux. which is probably one of the most complex skirmish games I've played. Not even going to try War Machine or Hordes, that just seems way too involved. But then you got Mantic's Vanguard as well, which is another skirmish game, which I haven't played much of, but would like to. But there's only so much time that you've got in a day, so you have to kind of pick and choose. How's that feeling? That's feeling alright. There's another goblin done. Big boy, big club. Alright, let's get this rubbish conversion that I'm not happy with done. That should be dry now. I wish I had more time to play more board games, all the tabletop games I want. I've got a whole bunch of dungeon crawler games as well that I haven't got to. The new Ossiarchs, the Bone Fellas. Yeah, that's what they do, they suck you in with the pretty models. And then they nerf them 3 months later. Yeah, some of them looks good. I find the Ossiarch guys have a lot of detail though, like they rolled it around in a bits bag full of glue and they come up with the Ossiarchs. So they have elements that I really like, but others, it's just there. The models are just so busy. It's hard for your eyes to kind of settle on anything. Is that alright? Yeah, it'll do. It'll have to be alright. I don't know if I scraped off the glue properly on this one, which is why it's taken long to sit. Alrighty, and what's he doing this one? Just giving a yay? We'll make him give a yay. Yay. Nah, it looks dumb. Yeah, that'll do. Ugh. Another game I want to try is Gaslands, which is the Death Race looking Twisted Metal type game. Using Matchbox cars or Hot Wheels that you kind of convert yourself. So I've got I think they just released an updated version of the rulebook to encompass all the expansions and cleaned up a few of the rules and FAQs, but I've got that on the way. I don't think it's from any particular company, it's just a fellow who wrote a game and it became a little popular. But I do know some stores stock kind of like the templates that you need for it, like oil skid marks and drift tokens and stuff. But it's really cool, like cars, bikes, helicopters, a tanker. They're all got different speeds and they all handle differently. And the object of the game is to try and win the race. Alrighty, I think you can download the rules. You could probably download the original rules. But it sounds like fun, but I haven't played it. I've just read the rules, and I like Twisted Metal. It's one of my favorite video game franchises. And I enjoyed Death Race, as dumb as it was. Okay, that's 3. What's the time? 3:38. I've probably got enough time for one more. I'm going to this cinema this evening. Again, seeing Ready or Not. I'm going to avoid Terminator just because it's opening, I think this weekend, maybe last weekend, and it's probably still going to be super busy. Alright, let's do one more Fnatic conversion. How about this club with, I don't know, they all feel like they're flying about this guy. Alright, let's snap him off the tab. But yeah, that's what got me into purchasing the rulebook for Gaslands. It sounded cool. Let's shorten this a bit. I can cut it later when I go to glue it on the thingy. but otherwise it's going to get in my way for the moment. Clean him up. So what are you playing at the moment? Plasma? Any game that you're focusing on? Probably should have washed these before I started. I've only had one, maybe two issues with Release Agent on resin models before. And one of them was quite serious with the Raging Heroes model. I scrubbed that thing so thoroughly and paint still didn't stick to spots. Like oil and water. But apparently that was a known issue and they've sorted that out by now. Well, quite a while ago. Is there any other mold lines on here that I have to worry about? No, this is another good cast. Actually looks pretty good. No, just on the bone here. Not playing anything at the moment and new to Wargaming. Ah, cool. So what's caught your eye? Anything other than the Ossiarchs? Got into it because of work. For work or because fella's at work? That'd be pretty cool if work kind of had like an evening games night. Like kind of forced upon you. Team building. Oh, for work. Cool. What do you do for work? Let's score these bits for the glue. Score that for the glue. Hopefully you can see that. I'm waiting until Black Friday before I purchase another lamp, just because of funds. 3D artist, and we make a company with a friend of mine. Cool! That's pretty sweet. Back in the day, what's 2019, so maybe 12 years ago, I went and did a 3D animation course, so I learnt to do some modeling using Maya. That was around the global financial crisis time, so when I graduated, a good portion of the studios had shut down, and the ones that were still about weren't hiring. So I had to get a standard 9 to 5, which is a bit disappointing. But I haven't forgotten those skills. I've on my previous streams I showed off some ice pillar markers for Malifaux that have made 3D printed out. Making wargaming stuff, cool. Is this templates and tokens or alternate miniatures for various games? Because I know there's lots of templates and tokens which some people do, like they're just a acrylic laser cutting bases and counters and terrain. Cool. More terrain is always good, especially if it's somewhat affordable. And who doesn't like a scenic base? Fools. Fools don't like scenic bases, that's what. I think those ice pillar markers might be in reach. I'll just see if I can grab one from the desk behind me. Just to show off. This should be clean enough. Okay. Excuse me a sec. My cord gonna reach? Maybe? Whoop. Just yank my headset out. Because I'm sitting on the cord, that's why. Ugh. Noob move. And I've just readjusted my volumes. Okay. Ooh, stretch. Hope I didn't knock anything else. Is everything still running? Yep, okay. So this is what I kind of designed in Maya. Some ice fillers. A few different designs, and then once they're painted up, they actually look alright. So the thing is, like, I've got my standard counters, because I have a bunch of them, but they look kind of boring when you've got a whole bunch like that. So put an ice filler on top just to give it a visual effect, and so when you've got a whole line of them, it's visually impressive, I found anyway. Because I don't often get a chance to use my 3D modeling, so every now and then it's refreshing. It takes ages though, trying to get it all right. Bloody vertices. Ugh. And edges, and making sure it all kind of matches. Alright, which was the one that we were mucking with? This guy. Alright, he's got no hands, so we've got to find the one with just hands, no arms. Is this it? Just hands, no arms, yeah? Oh yeah. Let's see if this works. Click the link, open the page. Oh no, it's spam! Oh, right, that's pretty sweet. Nice, well done. Simple yet sophisticated. I like it there's not a whole lot of stuff on them, which would detract from the figure. I think it's plenty of room for the miniature. Well detailed, yeah, good stuff. Well done. Hopefully, it does well for you, and you're able to do it indefinitely. Okay, I need to angle this a bit more. Is that club big enough for this guy? I can't tell. My initial feeling is that it's too small. No, that's big enough. Bugger it. Now, because this hand... The partner knows his wargaming stuff. Wet partner, yeah. Well, good. I'd be worried if they didn't and you're just going in blind. Okay. Alright, I'm gonna have to wrap this up soon, so see if I can get this done. Partner's wondering where I am, see if I've finished yet. Where did I put the hand? Bloody pieces. Okay, there we go. Looking here, just trying to line it up. I think that's okay. Doesn't look too unnatural. Alright, let's drill this thing and get it going. Luckily, there's a nice air bubble here. Some more sizes, eh? Alright, make sure this is straight. Okay. Oh yeah? Like those graves there, tombstones and the shovel. Any particular system in mind for these bases? Still straight, still straight. Okay, see how far we've gotten with that. That's a decent amount, let's go a bit further. Wild West Exodus. Yeah, that game looks cool. It's got a unique aesthetic. Cowboys and aliens and whatnot. side tangent. Didn't quite enjoy Cowboys and Aliens with Daniel Bond, whatever his name is, James Bond. Okay, see if we can pin this thing as well. Pinning these things on angles is quite difficult. So to do that, we start by pinning it this way to get mark, and then slowly rotate this thing around. Make sure it's all nice and straight. Yep, not going out the sides. But yeah, those bases would also suit Malifaux because that is also Western-esque with a bit more of a horror vibe to it. So that was the first thing that came to mind. Because at the moment, the bases for my Malifaux were just kind of like saloon wood floors. A bit boring, but if I had bases like them, it'd be much better. Okay. Yep, that's a good amount of pin. That plus how far does that go in? Not too far. So if we put it there, if we cut it there, it should be okay. Score and bend. Alright, and last test. Shove and shove. For almost perfect. Like half a mil off. Alrighty. Yeah, it's not too bad. Didn't miss the mark too much there. If need be, I can fill it with putty to clean that up. So let's get this glued. And then I'll have to finish up. Need to leave the house in 20 or so minutes. So I don't miss the session. I should buy the ticket as well. Ah! First world problems. Okay, I'm just going to tap it to push it in. Again, cover the pin in glue and not the figure. And insert. Alrighty. Should have left it a little bit longer so I can grab. Holy dooly. Got much else going on for your weekend, Plasma? Whereabouts are you located? Which country? Do I need to score these? Probably. Greece. Nice. So what kind of time are we looking at? So it would be morning, wouldn't it? 3 o'clock. Be a bit behind. It's almost 4 PM here. Very early. Seven. Alright, 6, 8, 6, 7. Definitely 7. It's that early. Not sure on the time. I think this is going to be another successful conversion. Just between you and me. And anyone else who watches this later on YouTube. Okay. So I'm pretty happy with the work today, this afternoon. I didn't think I'd get that far. because I was stressing about not getting these units done, but getting 4 additional goblins in conjunction with 1, 2, 3, 7, 5, 8, that's 12, that's at least 1 or 2 units. 13, and we've only got 1, 2, 3, 4 more to do, which I can do tomorrow. I might jump on stream again around the same time and give it a crack, seeing as I got the day off. But I think that worked as well. I think these Fnatic ones work a lot better than these old Games Workshop Goblin ones, because these guys are a bit static, I mean, goofy looking. But they get the point across. At least these guys look like they're lifting something heavy. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see how we go. But I think that'll do for me. 350. Yeah, that has to be. Yeah, I can't do a fifth one, so I would get in trouble with the partner. Okay, so that's today's work. Thanks for tuning in, Plasma, and having a bit of a chat. It can get a bit quiet in here a lot of the time, but I might jump on tomorrow if you're about as well. Otherwise, anyone else, thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy your Sunday, Plasma. And we, or I, will catch you next time. Thank you very much. See ya.